that was the basis of what I said so far. Thank you, and I'm here representing J Street. I want to second the views that have been mentioned by the people who spoke already. It's very notable that we're here as part of a coalition, okay? Obviously, we have a stronger voice when we stand together, and we stand together now because we agree on the issues, the basic issues, ending this horrible war in Gaza, bringing the hostages home, and ensuring that adequate medical, humanitarian, nutritional aid is given to the civilian population in Gaza. And of course, that's not enough. All of these groups agree that those are just the first steps, and we have to think about a serious solution to the dilemma in the Middle East, which will no doubt involve establishing a legitimate homeland for the Palestinian population, and will also involve restoring democracy to the state of Israel. So all these groups stand together on that. Now, one thing that I think is important to mention is that those views are not minority views here in the United States. Somewhere between 2/3 and 3/4 of the American Jewish population believes and supports all the things I just mentioned, but you wouldn't get that impression from the media. You wouldn't get that impression from listening to many American politicians. Why is that? Part of it's complicated, but part of the reason is that mainstream Jewish organizations have done a lot to misrepresent the views of the American Jewish population. And of course, those views have changed over time. But more and more, the views that we all hold here and that these organizations hold are the views of the majority. And that's one of the important things that comes out of being in coalition here together, and one of the important things that we want to emphasize going forward in the future. Now, just walking around here today, a couple of people have asked me things about J Street. I was surprised that people didn't know more about J Street, so I'm going to just take a minute to talk about J Street. The basis of what J Street does, it's a little bit different than what some of these other organizations do, is there's an assumption that if the kinds of changes that we're talking about here in the Middle East are going to come about both in the long term and in dealing with the kinds of crises that we're facing today, it will involve the intervention of the American government in some way to put pressure on all the parties. So what J Street is primarily concerned about is influencing the leadership in the American government, the elected leadership, the bureaucratic leadership in the State Department and other agencies, to be more informed about the realities in the Middle East and to take the kinds of positions that we all hold here. And that's what J Street is really about, influencing politicians, okay? When I first became involved in J Street, that was a pretty far out position. When I would go to Washington to lobby, Congress people would meet with us in their offices. We'd have to go to the cafeteria or meet in the hallway. They were so afraid that if we met in their offices, it would be on their schedule and then someone would know they were meeting in J Street. Okay? That situation has changed quite a bit. Right now, I think something like over 70% of the Democratic senators are J Street supported, are endorsed by J Street. Over 50% of Democrats in the House are supported by J Street. In the last round, the last elections, J Street raised over $8.1 million for congressional candidates who support the views that we have here. And they raised over $6.2 million, I think, for the Harris-Walz campaign. So that's what J Street does. If you want to know more about J Street, there are plenty of people here who can tell you about it. I'm one of them. So speak to me later. Okay, one other thing I want to mention. I'm sure like many of you here, you go to a lot of rallies, and it's great to be here at the rally, and it feels empowering, but by the time you get back to your car, you're pretty depressed about the situation. So one question, and this is what I want to leave you with, is what can you do when you leave here today? Okay, there are things that you can do. I think the single most important thing that you can do is think about all the Jewish organizations that you are involved with, that you are a member of, that you've supported, charities, fraternal organizations, and of course synagogues, and make a list and get in touch directly, email, letters, phone calls with the leaders of those organizations, express your views to them, and ask them about their views. They don't have to hold the same views you do. You will find that some of them do. Then you say, why aren't you speaking out about those views? Some of them have not held views like we hold, but they've come more and more to those positions. they need support from you so they can speak out. And for those who don't hold the views that we hold, that's okay in the sense that you let them know what your views are. It's important for them to hear that. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is get in touch with your congressperson and let him or her know that you don't support American policy right now in terms of Gaza and in terms of the aid that has to flow, and you want to see dramatic changes. There's lots of things you can do. If you want to do those things, here's my suggestion. Just go to the JSTREET website, jstreet.org, on the homepage. Just scroll down a little bit, and you will see something called the democracy list. There's a long list of things you can do. You can click on all those items, and it will give you the detailed way. It will tell you how to find the phone number and the address for your congressperson. It will give you suggested letters that you can then tailor to your own needs for writing for leaders in the Jewish community. There's lots you can do. So it's an honor to be here representing J Street. What we're doing is great. Obviously, we're in a terrible situation right now, but it just may be that the horror of the situation that we're in is finally turning some people to rethink their positions about what is going on in Israel and to rethink how American policy has contributed to the disaster that we're facing. So that is what we're all about here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.